Hi everyone, Paige here with Stoneapp, and I'm super excited to announce our newest functionality, which is being able to take credit card payments and or ACH payments directly through your Stoneapp system. So I'm going to walk you through how to create an invoice and then how to also send that invoice via email for the customer to click to pay if they weren't right there in your shop. So anytime you open up a job in Stoneapp, you're automatically going to be kicked to job view if the job has already been installed. So I'm going to take you back over to quote view here up in the top left hand corner. And then we're going to come down to our accounting tab. So from our accounting tab, we'll be able to see any transactions that have already been processed, and we'll also be able to start a new transaction by clicking the new transaction drop down. For this video, we're going to start with creating an invoice. So you can choose from the 4 invoice options here. Once you've selected your invoice layout, your invoice details page is going to populate. So a couple things I want to point out on this page is you have the ability to just partially invoice the job if the job had multiple areas or multiple phases. You can use these check boxes here over on the right hand side to select the items that you want to reflect on your invoice by simply selecting or deselecting the check boxes that apply. Another item to note is you can apply a percentage, if you will, a percentage that you want to send to the customer by selecting this quantity percent. And what this will do up at the top here, if I open this up, I can select a percentage that will apply to the entire invoice. So when I send this, it's only going to be collecting 50% on every line item from the customer. Now, I'm going to change that back to 100 and show you that you can also change the percentage by area. So you'll notice each area, so we have our kitchen over here on the left, our full height backsplash. Each area has a field with a 0 above it, and that is going to indicate the percentage for just that area. So if I type in my 50%, you'll notice that my full height backsplash area is still going to remain at 100 because I've only indicated that I want to collect 50% for the kitchen area. So once I have decided what areas and what line items I want to invoice and at what percentage, I'm going to go ahead and click the Save button in the top right corner. And from here, we can actually sync with our QuickBooks by selecting this QuickBooks Sync button in the top right corner here. So 2 things will happen, could possibly happen when you select this QB Sync button. It's either going to pull up and let you know that your QuickBooks has synced successfully, or it's going to let you know that it's failed. So one key note that I want to point out and why you would receive this failure message is because your customer name is not the same in your Stoneapp system and your QuickBooks system. So you'll have 2 options from your next page that's going to populate or your next pop-up that's telling you that the QB sync has failed. You can either retry to sync with QuickBooks, and that would be if you have gone ahead and made sure that your QuickBooks name and your Stoneapp name are the same, or you have the option to create a new customer in your QuickBooks system. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Again, make sure this is saved, and then I'm going to print my invoice details. And this is where we're going to get into being able to send it to the customer. So if you have any forms that you want to attach with your final invoice, you would select them here by just selecting the checkbox, and then we're going to select the print icon in the top right corner of that pop-up. So now we're going to have a brief overview of what the customer is going to see, and we're going to select the Send as Link button up in the top. So now we're going to be seeing the compose email page where we're going to send our invoice and give the customer the option to click to pay. You can select an email template from the template dropdown. Your email is automatically going to populate in the from field. The customer's email will automatically populate in the to field, and then you can add any additional recipients in the CC field. You can change the subject line to read and reflect your choice of subject. And then you'll see right below that we have our attached invoice. And then also in the composed email field, we'll have the view and pay invoice button. So two things I want to touch on while we're on this pop-up. You're going to see the edit amount yes and no. So what this is going to give the customer the ability to do is choose what amount they want to pay. So if you select yes, when the customer clicks on the view and pay invoice button, they're going to have the ability to change the invoice amount that they're paying to you. If you select no, they're not going to have the ability to change that field and are going to be responsible and required to pay whatever amount you're sending over. And then you'll notice we have the enable ACH. So we're also giving our customers the ability to pay via ACH payments, so they can pay from a checking or savings if that's their preferred method. So by clicking yes or no, that is going to determine what functionalities we're going to give our customer to pay their invoice with us. So if I click on the view and pay invoice, we're going to be able to see what our customer is going to see. So now I'm the customer. I've clicked the link to pull up the invoice and I have my invoice here. I'm now going to select the pay invoice in the top right corner. And this is going to give me my payment options. So first of all, at the top you can see up here we have our payment, and we can edit that payment as we just previously discussed. You'll notice that we have our transaction fee. So if you are paying via credit card, it's automatically going to input that transaction fee for you. Now this fee can be discussed directly with our merchant services account, so you would need to contact them to determine and put in place a transaction fee that is fit for your company. And then we have our fields, our card number, our cardholder name, and the additional required fields that we would need to fill in before we can pay that invoice. Now, I do want to also show, I'm going to exit out of here and I'm going to go back because I do want to show the option for ACH. So if I click that enable ACH and then I go back in to view and pay invoice. And again, our invoice that our customer is going to see, and pay invoice in the top right corner. Now you'll notice that I have a second option here for that ACH payment. Again, in the top right corner, because I have the edit amount enabled, they can highlight and edit the amount that they want to pay. And then they would input their routing number, their account number, and the additional required fields to process that payment. So once the customer has gone ahead and given us their payment, our transaction will show in the accounting field here below. We'll be able to see the payment that was given, and then we'll also be able to see the transaction number here once we've received their payment. Now, if the customer was in your shop and you were going to take the payment right there, you can also hit the new transaction button and receive a payment right from that new transaction button. So if I give that a click, now I have the option to select the payment type. I'm going to want to select the cashier or representative who is accepting the payment. I'm going to type in my amount that I'm receiving. I'm going to select which phase this is applicable to, and you'll see that the applied amount auto populates to the right hand side. And then I can select charge card. So now that I've selected the charge card, we're seeing the same items that we saw on the last page where the customer can click to pay. We've got our payment, we've got our transaction fee, and our total amount. So you would take the card information here and click submit. Or again, you can go ahead and select ACH and collect their bank routing number, account number, select the account in which they are pulling from, and then the required fields for the name on card and the zip code. Again, once that's gone through and been processed, a new transaction number will pop up at the bottom of your transactions, and your payment and balance will be updated to reflect the payment that has been taken. So we're very excited about this new feature. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you would like additional training, you're more than welcome to reach out to the email that I'm going to include at the bottom, which is my own email, training@stonegridusa.com. We are more than happy to walk you through this process or answer any questions you guys may have. Thank you so much for your time.